Good evening and God bless you all. And it's a pleasure for me. I'm Dr. Regine, coming once again with a new broadcast, a new program for us to speak about children in our societies, children in our homes, children in our families. And today I want to tackle a problem, an issue that many parents may have been wondering uh, about their own parenting style. And what I'm going to actually talk more about is the freedom that we give the children. Because you see, we are living in societies, everything is different right now. Some of us, we lived in different areas of societies where we actually value the respect of elders that we don't see most of the time in Europe, for instance, or in different societies where we are. But now, the fact is that when you're trying to bring something that you learned back home, let's say you were born in Africa, for instance, I was born in Africa. So definitely the influence that I had from the first years of my life on earth are African, and it's different from a child who is born in France, in England, or in America. So we need to understand as parents that sometimes we have a background and we are trying to um, I would say, implement the rules, the settings that we have received in another society to children who live in a different society. And that brings a lot of conflicts in homes. And we don't always know how to balance the freedom that we give our children. And some parents end up giving up. Some parents end up being uninvolved in their children's lives. Some parents becomes too authoritative or too authoritarian. And we need to understand that everything that we do for the children will have an impact in their lives, whether we want it or not. That's the reason why I always like to start with a Bible verse, because God, who created every child, who created us also and made us to become parents, has already, I would say, given us rules and plans to the way that we should look at when we are trying to bring up our children. So let's see the first one. Proverbs 22, verse 6. It says, start children off on the way they should go. Start children off on the way they should go. And even when they are old, they will not turn from it. And that is true. I remember how I grew up. I grew up with a mom who was alone because my father was always sick. He had mental issues and he was always sick. So my father was not at home. But my mother, who was there to be our father and our mother, actually doing the two roles, had a lot to do. And we were eight. She gave some of my siblings to her brothers to help her with. But now, when we were with her, she used to give us tools that I'm still using today. Tools that I actually use when I also had my own children. So therefore, it's important to understand that what a child becomes. Some parents say, "Oh, I don't know what I did with this child." Check. You need to check yourself. Check how you started off with that child. That's what the Bible says. Start children off on the way they should go. If you start with a child, every time that they do hang, you are running out and putting the milk in their mouth while maybe they just want your attention or they want something else. Well, you are making a child who will be used to being given something as soon as they feel a bit stressed out, because we don't understand that children can also be stressed out. And we need to be able to learn once again to listen to the needs of children, to be able to give them the right attention that they need. If a child needs too much attention, it's not good, because they would not grow to become independent and get the freedom that they actually also need. The same as if a parent is too much behind a child, covering them. You are not giving them tools to be able to fight in the society. When you are not there, what are they going to do? That's why the Bible says that you teach them the way they should go now when they are still children, so that when they are old, when they are older, when they are teenagers, they will not turn from it. Now, let me tell you something before I move to the next Bible verse. What we also forget today in our societies is that, and this may be shocking for many parents to hear, things have changed. In schools now, for instance, you as a parent, when did you start learning about sexual education? If we talk about school, you started learning about sexual education maybe in college, maybe in secondary school. But now they start in primary school. They start in years, what? When children are 7, 8 years old. Therefore, if you do not understand that because the society has changed that much, children today are pre-adolescent from the age of, I would say, 8. Before, when you were growing up, you were a pre-adolescent from the age of what, 13, 14. But now they know, the children of 7, 8 years old speak, know things that you did not know before you were 14, 15, 16, 17. First of all, because they teach them those things at school. And if they are not taught at school, we have given them, we, the parents, have given them the internet. Because sometimes when you want your time alone, you give them a tablet, you give them something. So they're going to go and learn the things that you're not teaching. You know the reason why? Because they've got friends who have different parents as well, who are not doing like we are trying to do. So they will be curious and they will learn things that you are not teaching them. So if you are not there to actually monitor, check, see what your child is doing, giving them too much freedom, you're going to have a pre-adolescent in your house who is now 7, 8 year old. So it means that the time that they are supposed to be pre-adolescent, which is 13, 14, they start behaving as if they are 18, 19. And this is the greatest issue and problem that parents are going through in their homes today, and they do not understand that. Because you are looking at a child, you know that they're 14, but they want things that a 20-year-old wants. And you're like, excuse me, what's happening here? What will happen is that you're going to speak one language, the child is going to speak another language, conflict because you don't understand each other. But the fact is, who has failed to understand that the child has evolved in a society that make them grow quicker, faster than in your time? It's the parent. Now, the freedom we give to children has to be balanced. In everything, we need balance. I want you to understand also as a parent one thing. Listen to this. You see, when you and I grew up, we had more freedom. We had more freedom. It was easier for you to go to the park without worrying. Today, even sending your child to the park, we hear so many things that are happening because the societies have changed. You cannot just let your child do anything freely. You cannot, because people are perverted. People are sick out there. There's more problems than before. I know when I always speak with my sister, she's in her 60s right now. My big sister, she's in her 60s. And she's telling me how she grew up. My friend, you could go and just stand up and go in any auntie's house and eat. You can just, it was so, there was freedom. There was a freedom of that we do not know. The time that she had that freedom, I did not know it. How much more my children today? Because things have changed. Therefore, as a parent, you enjoyed freedom. Know that the children's freedom is now cut. Because look, when you were going to school, for instance, you even had longer breaks at school. But now children are given what? 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And all the time they must stay at home because the outside is bad. So imagine that they are already removed freedom. Now, if you don't adapt your parenting style in a way that they don't have the feeling that the little freedom that is left to them, you too trying to take it. You are trying to, you are always there, giving them something to do, directing them all the time, being behind their back. In the end, what you're trying to do is that you are trying to keep them in around you, but because they feel that you are taking away the little freedom that they have. They will end up liking to go outside, like to be far from you, liking to be in a place where they don't hear you. Because listen, when a child goes to school, a school, what is a school about? It's a place where they're coming to learn rules. Sit up, sit down, the teacher comes, write, take your book, do this. They spend the whole day. Listen, what does a child do? He wakes up, have breakfast, get a bath, goes to school. Throughout the day, rules. Now the child comes back home. Do you think they expect rules again? No, my friend. Let me put it another way. You yourself, as a parent, you go to work, you've got to go through a set of rules. When you go back home, what first do you want? Freedom. That's why we say home, sweet home. Because when you go back home, it's actually that the rules and the setting, the things that to be paying attention out there, you kind of relax because you know what, now I'm in my place where I can do what I want. But the problem is that our children cannot allow them to do everything they want. Therefore, we need to set rules that are rules without being oppressive, that are rules that will not make them feel, why am I here? It's better for me to go to my friends. It's better for me to go to the park and just come home and sleep. Because that is what many parents are suffering with their children at home, and they do not understand the root of it. Sometimes, and most of the time, we, the parents, push our children outside, and then they start doing even worse things. If you want to keep your child home, you need to make sure that you give them freedom. That is balance, and I'm going to talk about different parenting styles in a minute and show you, I would say, how we can manage to get a balanced way of directing our children, being authoritative, yes, but at the same time, allowing them freedom. It's important. If you don't manage to balance all that, your child will be frustrated. They don't want to be around you. When you open your mouth, they're like, oh, yeah, come on, they're talking again. Like one day I heard my child tell me, she's just being a mom. I said, what does it mean? He said, well, that's what mom do. I said, what did I do? So they were talking, and then I just came and I started, okay, after you finish this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. And then the other one said, well, mom, we did it already because we know what to do. And then the big brother said, well, she's just being a mom. You see? Sometimes we don't even control it. People just want to be there directing. They have been, as they were in school, whole day, doing all that, do this, don't do that. You can walk here, you can do this, you can go up, you can go down, you can do this, you can do that, do this. Okay, it's break time. Go at break time. Now break is over. Come back. And then the child comes home. Okay, you've got 1 minute, you've got 2 minutes, you've got 3 minutes. Oh my God. That's not life. The fact is that our societies have changed. So we take the parts that have changed, but we don't allow the children to take, I would say, to evolve in that change in a way that is healthy for them, in a way that is healthy for the family. Because we think that by doing that and being too active, or by being too close to the child, we are trying to discipline them. No, that's not discipline, that's controlling. You see, you want to control if they have hate. And there's a time where you don't, you see, listen, my children are 17 and 21. I'm not, when I finish cooking, I leave the food. It's up to them to eat. I'm not going to be forcing them again. There are things I don't force them. They know what they need to do. They need to make sure that the dish is done. They know the rules. So I don't have to be like, have you gone and do the dish? Who is doing the dish? Come by my dish. I don't do that. Because imagine they have been at school, they were there hearing orders throughout the day, and then you come home, and then what you hear is reproaches, is blames. That is not allowing the child to evolve in an environment where they feel free. They should evolve in an environment where they feel free. Let's go to my next scripture a bit, and then we're going to move on. Ephesians 6, verse 4. Many parents know Ephesians 6:3 that says that children obey your parents. Many parents know that one very well. And I remember when I was growing up, I was still a teenager, and I had this auntie who had an issue with one of her daughters, and then she used to quote this every time to her. And then one day I came in and said, "Oh, but auntie, you know the one, the verse that follows, there's another verse there." That was so funny. I did not expect that. I said, well, you stop only on verse 3, but verse 4 also says that you should provoke your child because it looks like you're always behind her. You're always shouting. Whatever she does is never good enough. So maybe you are pushing her a bit to do whatever you are complaining about. She didn't like it. Wow. It became, what do you mean? What do you mean? Those Mama Africa. So anyway, let me go. So Ephesians 6 verse 4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. I took it from the Amplified version because it's more elaborate. Do not exasperate them to the point of resentment with demands that are trivial or unreasonable or humiliating or abusive. Wow. Everything is written in the Word of God, my friends. Everything. Let's read the next bit. Nor by showing favoritism or indifference to any of them, but bring them up tenderly with loving kindness in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. The way the Lord instructs us and disciplines us is with love. He does not undermine us. There are some parents, you make it known to one child that you don't like them or you prefer the other ones because they are listening to you, because they are better at school, because they do this and they do that. What does the Bible say? Don't show favoritism or indifference to any one of them. Because you see, the 5 fingers here don't have the same length. So you can't expect all of your children to understand the same instruction the same way. You can't expect them to do well at the same way. You can't expect them to speak the same way. You can't expect them to dress the same way. You can't expect them to speak to you the same way. You can't expect children to do things as if they are twins from the same egg. No. Because everyone has their unique qualities. Therefore, the way you address every of your children is unique. You know the reason why we're trying to copy paste with all of them is because we don't have time. And parents say that I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. You should have time. That's your child. It's not someone else's child. It is your child. You should find the time. If your child is deprived of the liberty that you are supposed to give them because you have time, well, you're going to have a young adult that you cannot master. And that's taught from very young age. And as I said earlier, from the age of 8, look at children these days. Look at children 10 to 13. Some of them, especially young teens, the girls, they look like women. They look like women. We, in our age, when I was 13, I looked 13. I dressed 13. These days, a young girl, 13, when she's dressing up, she's 18. And then you want to talk to her as if she's 13. Adapt, my friend. As a parent, adapt. I'm not saying to speak to her as if she's already grown up, but I'm telling you that because in her head, what is there is not what you see. That is the problem, that you're going to be in conflict. So you, as a parent, if you adapt, you avoid the conflict. You will avoid the conflicts. The time is no longer for children to go out and play. Now it's the time of internet, video games and everything. So you can allow them, but give them, I would say, limits. Like my children, I never stopped them Right? Let me get some water. Sorry. I never stopped them playing games, but I set rules in my house. They could not play games during the week. It started from Friday to Sunday, and that was also if I did not get any form of problem. That's it. So I actually made them responsible for themselves. I gave them the freedom to earn. The freedom was theirs. They could be in control. If I want to be playing non-stop throughout the weekend, I make sure that I do everything right. You see? So I actually empowered them. You see, you can give children's freedom by empowering them. But when you put too much barriers, you know what happens? When you're not there, you go to the supermarket, you have to come like some parents do, you start touching the TV to see if the TV is hot. Because when they heard you putting the key, you know what they did? They put the TV off. I've never done that with my children. Because I taught them that if you disappoint me once, you lose all the privileges. I trust you. I taught them that I trust you. So if you break trust, well, everything is gone. You see, we need to have the right balance, and that started from very young age. Very young age. Didn't I test them? I'm a parent, come on. I tested them to see. And I remember once I was traveling, I was going to Haiti, and I left them with someone, and the person called me, or I don't remember, and the person, and I think it was the one who was 21 was 14 years old, and the other one was there for 10 years old. So I left them, and after 3 days, the person, it was the first time we were seeing with my children, called me and said, "Wow, your children are weird." No, actually, the person said they are not normal. I said, "Why are you saying that?" He said, "Listen, when you stay with adolescents, the parents are not there. They will try and trick you. They will try and even leave the home or do this. Everything I tell them to do, they do." I said, because I taught them that actually with me, you can do whatever you want. But with someone else, you've got to support yourself. I said, therefore, they are normal. Don't say they are not normal. They are normal. Because a child should be doing that. And the person said, yes, because at this time, they should try and sneak out, go out and see the friends and do this and do that. Or even, I said, no. I said, no. My children are not going to do that. If you tell them, go to bed, they go to bed. Put the light off, they put the light off. And the person was surprised. The person was surprised. I said, it's because I taught them that if I tell you to put the light off and you don't, you'll lose the privileges. As simple as that. And so they grew up with that. The one who is 17-year-old now, I don't look at his education. I don't look at his stuff. I started allowing him to play when the pandemic started. He is allowed to play during the week now because, they were at home. But I told him 9:30 or 10, the light has to be off. And he's been doing it. And he had great results. He had great results at school. Did I sometimes check? I did. He doesn't know, or maybe he saw me, or he didn't know, but I did check. I remember once it was about 10. I just knocked at his bed, at his door, because I saw the light, and I was surprised to see that he actually fell asleep and left the light. So I was like, okay, he's listening. You see, what I'm trying to say here is that as parents, we need to understand that our children, their liberties, their freedom has been reduced in terms of time. Because let's look at the whole day that a child would have when they go to school. In school, they're not very free. They can do whatever they want. Or even you do something wrong, you're in detention, they are deprived this and that. So when they are at home, that's where we need to teach them we need to allow them to be free, but with certain limits and boundaries. You see? So it's important, therefore, to adapt the way that you talk to them, the way that you see them, the way that you perceive them. Trust them is the first thing you need to do. So I'm going to give you a few tools today. Trust them, with day by day activities. Don't just think that a child, a child forgets. Honestly, sometimes we have the feeling that they do it on purpose. I remember, let me just remind for those who don't know that I am an education specialist. I've been working as an education specialist for 11 years with different families, different children, different ages. I would say 7 till to 22. Yes, I've been working with different children in different situations. So you need to learn to trust children, because if you, a child told me one day, Miss Regine, I actually forget things. I said, I know you do. And he said to me, but my mom doesn't believe. I said, I know. The child was not lying to me. They were saying the truth. Because every time you tell them, you give them an instruction, they're so distracted with their games, with whatever they're doing, they forget the instruction. And then the mom will shout, 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 thinking that the child didn't do what the mom said to do. It's just that because they were so much distracted. And then you give them an instruction and then you add another one. So they will forget in between because they have not just started the first instruction. And sometimes I'm there, an observer. I see the parents interacting with their children, but I'm not saying anything. The day I'm supposed to talk, then I'll talk. So I knew when he told me this, we were at home in the first place, we were outside, and the mom was not there. And he just turned to me, and I remember it was something that he was meant to do, and he didn't do it. And he turned to me and said, Miss Regine, sometimes I forget things. I said, yes, I know. And I could see how he was relieved. Because every time they hear, I told you to do this and you've done it. You've done it again. You don't listen to me. You don't. But it's not that I'm not listening. It's just that because I'm distracted, I forget. See? And then after that conversation, I talked to the mother and said, he told me that he forgets sometimes. So try this. Give them one instruction at a time. One instruction. If the instruction is to do the bed, until they have finished doing the bed, don't say doing the bed and clean your shoes. But make sure that you as a parent be consistent and push them to do what you have told them to do. You cannot tell them do the bed and then you yourself move to your own things and then you forget and then you come 15 minutes later, 16 minutes later telling them, why haven't you done that? If the child is, there are some children who are slow to obey. I've got one of them here at home. And I keep telling him, he's 10, I keep telling him, you're a bit slow to obey, it's not good. That started when you were in primary school. I remember your one of your teachers telling me this. But learn to be someone who hears an instruction and listens and obeys and does now. I'm teaching him and explaining to him. I even gave him instruction. And I remember once something that made him to start changing. I said, listen, sometimes if I call you, let's say I call you, maybe I'm feeling bad or I'm even on the floor and I call you and it takes 15 minutes to come. Do you know that by the time you come, you'll find me maybe dead? I told him that I think it was maybe 9 or 10. And that's how I saw a change, because if you don't give them a reality that they can understand, or you have to give them the picture. You see, even Jesus, when he speaks to us in the Bible, he gives people pictures so that they can relate. If you see a child does not understand, it means that you need to come to their level and speak the language they can get, the language they can grab, the language they can understand. Therefore, you will win your child. Shouting at them, you are always doing the same thing, you are always doing the same thing, is not going to sort the issue. The issue is not that they are not listening. The issue is that they are a slow I would say someone who obeys slowly. That's it. So they have the instruction there. Whatever you ask them to do is still there. They are planning to do it, but they are planning to do it on their own terms, in their own time. Therefore, there's another way you can also go about it. Give them set term time. Okay, I want you to do this in 5 minutes. You see, now my child who is slow obedience mode, in that slow obedience mode. I'm like, when I call him, I say, I want you to come now. He understands. If I just call him like yesterday, even yesterday, I called him, I said, can you come? He asked me now, you see, because it has become a code. I said, well, when you finish whatever you're doing, then he understood it was not urgent. So I developed that code with him. But the other one, who is even upper in the room, if I call him right now, I don't need to call him twice. Bang, he's downstairs. You see, they are different. But the other one has its qualities also, or things that I have also noticed in time. He doesn't like me to tell him 10 times the same thing. So I stopped doing that. That's what the Bible says. Don't exacerbate your child. Don't exasperate them. Don't make them feel angry. You know what they don't like. Why do you continue being and doing that? No. Trust them. You make sure you understand their needs. You make sure you understand their language. How do they respond well? And that is what you're using. Then you're going to have a better relationship. So learn to trust your child with different activities. You know, if a child is young, learn to give them limits, time. You know, okay, get dressed 5 minutes. You see, the fact is that my child, that if I call him, it takes time to come. He's very quick when he comes for himself, you know, when he's doing things for himself. That's why I don't have to give him time limits. He knows. He knows. You see? It's just that for him to do something, sometimes he goes so slowly. Every time we're going out all together, he's the last in the car. He's always the last in the car. And I've got to wait for him. Before I used to be like, why? But you know, I understood that is his space. So you know what? I'm tell him, okay, we are leaving in 10 minutes. Make sure in 10 minutes you're there. You see, develop codes. But the other one, I don't need to do that. I don't need. He will be there. You see, develop codes, because that is a way of giving everyone their freedom. I'm giving him the freedom, and I'm boosting his confidence. I am boosting his trust in me, because he knows that I understand his need. It is his way of being. He wants to take his time doing his things, but he does them well. So I've got no way I can come and say, yo, you know, no, I don't know, no. We need to stop shouting at our children and talking. We need to improve our interest in helping them take responsibility for what they are asked to do. We need to have more interest in that. The second thing is that we need to encourage our children. Encourage your child, even when you see they are doing things that are not very good. I would say there's always a way of improvement. And maybe that's the part of my teaching that comes into place, because I'm a teacher as well. I taught in secondary schools for many years, and we have this. When we assess children, we always say what went what went wrong. Yes, what went well. Sorry, what went well. What went well. So you tell them what went well, what they did well first. Don't just start pointing the finger at the things that they did wrong. No, what went well in what you did. And then after that, EBI. Even better if this is the part where you tell the child to say, okay, well, how can you improve this? It's better for me to come and say, okay, wow, actually, you kind of did it very well. It's good. It's very good. It's good. Well, you know that the thing is very clumsy. It's not understanding, you know. You are not being an hypocrite. You are just helping them to see how they can improve themselves by saying, well, it's good. You start with the praise. You start praising them. Everyone likes praises. You see, it's better than, why are you doing this like this? Why? Imagine testing your face every day. You're not angry. Jesus Christ, help us. Honestly. Now, I just did that. You didn't expect me to do that. But how did you feel all of a sudden? How did you feel? That's what that's what your child sees every day. No, it's better to come with a smile. Okay, let's see what went well. What can now be improved? That's where you can now bring the criticism. It will be a positive criticism. You know the reason why? Because you started with what went well. You started praising them. You started telling them, you know what, you did good. You see your child doing shoes. Okay, let's say your child is very young and then they don't know how to do their shoes and then they put, the left on the right, the right on the left, and they try their shoelaces. Wow, well done. Wow, you put your shoes today. You don't just say like, why? Couldn't you wait for me to show you? Couldn't you? Why? How old are you? You can't even do your shoes. It's just an example, but I'm telling you that there's so many examples I can give here that I've seen. But parents, the child made an effort. Can't you just start with, wow, that's good, you tried it. Okay, now come. Next time when you do it, do like this, do like that. Isn't it better? Simple. That's encouraging for the child because you are actually appreciating the fact that they made an effort. There are children who become lazy because all they hear from their parents is they can't do it right. You cannot do it right. Whatever you do is wrong. Whatever you do is bad. Whatever you do is not good enough. And then you're going to be surprised that a child that was even very intelligent in the school start messing up. Why would I make effort? Because I never do anything right. You see, all those examples are examples where we deprive them of their liberty of expression. The freedom of expression is suppressed. If you always undermine my efforts, you are actually undermining my freedom of expression, because my freedom of expression might not be like yours. First of all, you are an adult. You have the time to make your own mistakes and be corrected. Why can't you allow me as a child? I'm speaking with the voice of a child now. Why can't you allow me to make my own mistakes? Why do you suppress my freedom to make my own mistakes? Why do you suppress my freedom to learn through my mistakes? Why do you suppress my freedom to be me? I don't have to be a copycat of you. You are perfect. I'm not meant to be perfect, maybe. But you know what? I can be unique, exceptional, do great things despite those mistakes and clumsiness. So why you, my father, my mother, don't you allow me to express my freedom? Do you understand? Parents, we have a long way to go. Now, allow children to make mistakes. That's actually my third point. Let them learn from the mistake. That's the best way we learn. Most of us, we are good today in different things because we made mistakes. Amen? So it's good to allow the children to make mistakes. No one can say that they never made mistakes. There are mistakes that you made that you're a better person, a better parent, a better worker, a better friend, a better spouse because of your mistakes. Okay? Now, my fourth point, learn to send them. Sending your child across the street to buy something is important. Even if your child has a problem, let's say I'm talking now about teenagers, a bit older, has a problem. They maybe like when you send them, they don't bring the money back. Send them, but with instructions. Send them, telling them, I know this costs this, so there will be £5 left. I expect you to bring them. You see, if you have a child that does not automatically by himself bring back the money, instruct him, teach him, and they will start doing it. But if you see a child doing that, I want to say that, what did you do? How did you teach them? How did you teach them? I remember when I was a child, my mom used to tell me that if someone, she didn't say she said, if someone said to go and get them something, bring them the change so that they can trust you. So I understood that actually bringing the change meant being trusted. You see, so instead of you as a parent calculating the risks for children, when someone wants to even send them, you start being scared. You start being scared. Hey, this child is going to disappoint me. You are calculating the risk of them doing good or bad. That's not good. Teach them through others. Teach them through others. You see, there are children who are excellent with other people than they are with their parents. Many children do that. Someone else sends them, they bring the change, but when it's you, they don't. Something was broken somewhere. It's called disrespect and indiscipline. Who did not give them that basis for respect and discipline? It's not them, it's you. It's you. You see? And this brings me to my fifth point. It's because when we provide for them, we need to provide for them, but we need to also provide them with not only material things. If you don't refrain your child with the lusts that they can have, they will start stealing from you. They'll start taking, thinking it's normal. Because you know you were giving them all the time. You gave them and gave and gave and gave. They cough, you give. You give. Well, and then, listen, it's easy to give a child when they are 5 years old. First of all, giving them, go to a shop, sweets, they're happy with that. But children, they give them sweets at 17, like, okay, thank you, mom. They don't even look at you. Because first they have their pocket money, they can get it. What do they want? They want things that are more expensive than at their age. And as I said, a child becomes a pre-adolescent in the mind earlier these days. 8. You give a child something, they look at you like, okay, sorry, how old do you think I am? But the thing that I bought you is your age. Really? Do you understand? Children today at 8 start asking you for branded things. You, when your parent would give you, I don't know, something that the next neighbor who can sew was able to sew for you, you were happy like it was Christmas. You see? Because it's another society, it's another time. So when you provide for them, you also need to provide them with the opportunity to express their thoughts and emotions. You see, which means that when you're giving them, if you need to let them say like what you're giving them when they are young, so that you can correct. Well, you know what? I can give you only this because that's what I can afford. Then the child will grow with that and not start asking you what he saw his friends having. And that's freedom. Many parents offer to children things because they saw out, they saw on TV, they saw on Facebook. But then when you cannot, they will try and get it by force. And what it by force is by doing wrong things. They will try and get it by stealing sometimes. They try and get it by lying. They try and get it by getting into drugs or fast and get them money just to get what they want. It's because they have never been given the opportunity to express their thoughts and feelings. I remember a very long time, my younger one day I'm at home and he brought some Nike shoes. No, I don't know what. I saw Nike shoes. I said, whose shoes are this? He says his friend gave it, a friend from school. I put in the plastic. I said, take it back tomorrow. When he came back, I said, never again. Did you ask me for shoes and I didn't give you? Do you exchange shoes with your friends? He said, no, he gave. I said, no. Another time he had a friend, it was his birthday, he was still in, I think, primary school, maybe year 6. And then year 6 or year 7. And I don't know if it's one of my children anyway. And his friend gave him 50 pounds, 50 pounds for his birthday in an envelope. I called home. I wasn't like, yeah. I said, let me check with the parents. Because I look at the age of my child. And I believe a friend giving me 50 pounds is a lot. It's a lot. If the parent would not confirm, I would have returned it. Never be an accomplice with your child, because when we give them too much liberty, when we provide for them, we can make thieves of tomorrow. We can make drug addicts of tomorrow. We can make people who are going to bother us. I checked. When the parents confirmed, I said, okay, we can keep it. If you allow your child to express his feelings about how he feels, his emotions about how he feels when he receives things at home. You will know. You will know how and what they like and how they like it. Then you'll be able to provide the right way. Allow your child to express himself freely. Let them know that they can come to you anytime. Let them know that they can speak to you. You see, it's a learning process for parents as I'm talking right now. Because some parents think that they can just give orders to children. You can just give orders, but giving orders does not make the child respectful. Giving orders does not make the child know what you want to imply, what you want them to learn. You see, let's look at a few parenting styles, a few things that I want to show you. Let me show you a few pictures here. I hope I'm going to make it. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to actually bring up some like when you try it always works here. I want to bring some kind of pictures to comment with you about parenting styles, and I'm gonna develop on that in a minute. So let me try this one. Does it work? Okay, nice. So we saw this one, a parent beating his child. Yes, it's possible to do that. But if you do that without explanations, you've done it in vain. You'll be doing it until you can't anymore. That's the problem. Because some parents are very good with their fingers. Fingers, and they're also very good with their fist. They're also very good with the belt. They're also very good with this and that. On the first episode, I said that my children, what I did is that I used to tell them, listen, I remember once we were going to Paris, we were in the Eurostar. They were messing up. But the fact is that before leaving home, they knew the rule. When we are in the Eurostar, you've got to comport yourself. There are people who are here, it's 5 o'clock, they finish work, they're going back home, it's weekend. They don't want to hear crazy children like who are going like unleashed dogs, barking at each other and playing here up and down. No. You've got your games, you've got everything. It's just 2 hours. And then after that, you can do whatever you want at home. But that day, I don't know if they were trying me. They were trying. Yeah. When I started looking at them, I said, okay, belt. You see, there were instructions. There were instructions. There were instructions. They did not follow. So they had to go through the consequences. So the freedom of a child is not something to be taken lightly. If you want to give a child freedom, it doesn't mean that you discipline them with the whip. No. It actually makes some people more stubborn. It makes some people more defiant. It makes some people more, they will actually run away from you. You see? So the whip has to be with an explanation. Let me give another example of parenting style, things that I want us to reflect on. Let me just try this one again. I hope it's going to work this time. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. The parent is standing there. The children are very, very well on their little things. You can, what? This is a child, children who are going to learn with the fear. You can see, so you don't even know if they love what they are doing. My son used to play the harp. When he felt and he said he didn't want to anymore, I stopped taking him. I can't force. There are things you need to learn to listen to your children. I love doing that, but what I love should not become what he loves. You see? And then you're forcing them and you're there watching and taking them there. You see? And then they're gonna do it. At some point of time, they will be burnt out. You need to be very careful. If a child is doing something, it has to be out of their own liberty, out of their own freedom, their desire. Let me give you another image, and I want you to reflect on it. Just look at it and let everything that comes to your mind come to your mind with that image, okay? Wow. It says it all. Why is a parent going, you're going to yell? That's what I said earlier. That's what some children, all they see with the parents is eyes always open like this, but never smile eyes that are smiling at them, to them. You see? Let's look at that one again. Let's look at that one again. Are you that parent? Just look at that again. Look at how the child is physically. When you're doing that, your child is not like that. They can be like this, not saying anything, but inside you have made them a shy, fearful child who is going to be always fearful of adults, or when he does something wrong, always trying to hide it or do something. Why not actually speak to them, which is a part of child's freedom. You yourself as an adult, you don't want to be there, everyone shouting all the time. You won't like it, would you? You wouldn't like it. It would be so awful, isn't it? Let me give you another one for you to reflect on. Of course, those images, I took them from the internet just for the purpose of this study tonight, that you can see the different things that parents do without even reflecting. But this one is interesting, the last one I'm going to show you. Look at that. Have a look and reflect. Interesting, isn't it? What did you see? And many parents are like that, especially when they find a new lover. You start abandoning your child, you start neglecting the children. You start doing that you should not do. But that is not right, because the children have the right to be protected by us, the parents. Now, before I finish, I'm just going to give you a few ways of being parenting, of your styles of parenting that would allow the child to grow healthily with all the freedom that they need. Now, if you are an authoritarian parent, you want a child to always obey you. You will punish them for whatever they do. It's like my way, not any other way. That one will always bring conflict, so avoid that. Now, the democratic one, which is authoritative but being more democratic, I would say that it can work. It can work because you give them guidelines, you give them instruction, you support them, you enable them to move with their own liberties and freedom. You are more flexible, you are assertive, you kind of give them time to self-regulate when they did something wrong. That one brings more balance. It's better. Okay, because it will help them to be a bit more independent and not feel that you are behind them. You are authoritative, but at the same time you give them freedom. While authoritarian is directive all the time, you're always giving them rules, always rules. You're just like a teacher in school. At home, you feel like I've got another teacher. That's what it is. You didn't do this, punishment, detention. You didn't do your homework, punishment, detention. That one is what going to make the child leave the home as soon as they can. Now, uninvolved, when parents are distant or not interested in the child, is not good. It's not good at all, because that will bring the child to always feel that they are being neglected. Even if they don't say it, they are. So if a child feels neglected, that's not good, because you are absent and you are passive in their lives. And what are they going to try and do? To find comfort, to find people who understand them somewhere else. Many parents are like that, unfortunately, and that we don't want that. And that doesn't allow the child to feel free, because a child who is free, a child who can talk, a child who can express his feelings, a child who can express his emotions. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about, which is a really huge problem in our society, is the permissive parenting style. You are the boss, and you don't give guidelines, you don't give directives, you're not even involved. You are indulgent. You're indulgent. You see, the permissive style is what we see more and more, where we see parents allowing children to make decisions. They make children 8 are making decisions to change their sex. What if that child, after 10 years, says, "Whoa, I made a mistake"? Where was the parent? And parent accept because they're indulgent. Listen, giving a child too much liberty is not helping a child, because a child remains a child. A child remains a child. Look, why is it that they say that you can vote only when you're 18 or 21 in some countries? Because that is the age of reasoning. The age of reason. If a child does commit some crimes, they cannot even go to prison when they are below 16 or 12. But now, some parents are so permissive that they allow children under 10 to decide their future. That is how perverted this world is. So when you want to be a parent giving your child liberties, think about what you're doing. Be someone who is balanced. You need to be balanced. Giving too much freedom will kill their future, and you will be the one crying after. We need to understand freedom does not mean, let me say it again, freedom does not mean that a child can do whatever they want, when they want, how they want. Freedom has to be on a framework monitored by you as a parent who continues to be assertive, giving guidelines, being supportive, but being supportive in the right things, not in the wrong things. Being supportive in the things that will build the child up, because the Bible said so. And I'm going to read it as our final statement today. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. Do not exasperate them to the point of resentment with demands that are trivial or unreasonable or humiliating or abusive, nor showing favoritism or indifference to any of them, but bring them up tenderly with love. Tenderly with love, loving kindness, in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. That's what the Bible is telling us. So we need to be careful. I'll finish with this one as well. Start children off on the way they should go. A way a child should go is not the way that you are imposed by the society. It's not a tendency. It's about their lives. So make sure that you put the right barriers where you should put them, and you should put the right settings and limits for the child to be able to grow in a healthy way. I hope that this has helped you to understand that. Yes, children need freedom, but a framed freedom. And freedom means expressing themselves as well. Your child should be able to come and speak to you about everything. By the way, what you're stopping them from speaking with you, they will speak with someone outside. But are you sure that person has their best interest in their hearts? Most of the time they don't. Social services, schools, friends, they don't necessarily have the best interest at heart for your child. Therefore, be open to speak to them about everything. Let them come freely. Let them know that you are supportive. You will be there with them. Until next month, where we're going to have a new topic and someone will be invited to speak with us. I pray that you start applying the good balance in your parenthood, in your parenting styles. Send me comments, send me questions, topics that you want me to discuss about, And also, don't forget to share because I'm sure that you know someone around you who may need to hear this. Stay blessed in Jesus' name.